I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now. I've made thousands of cocktails, and I almost never ever use fresh fruit juice in any of my drinks. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about why every other bartending YouTuber is wrong about the importance of fresh fruit juice. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Raman Virapin. I'm a full-time medical doctor. I'm a home bartender, and I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. So let's get one thing straight off the bat before we start this video. I will be the first to tell you that fresh fruit juice is definitely better than bottled lime juice in terms of overall taste and quality. But in my opinion, and that's what I'm going to be arguing for you all in this video, I think that bottled lime juice is much better and more practical specifically for home bartenders. There's a couple of reasons for that. So first off, if you're going to be using bottled lime juice, bottled lemon juice, or other fruit juices, make sure you go for the highest quality ones. In my opinion, I've used tons over the years, and these two are the best for lime and lemon respectively. The Nelly and Joe's Key West lime juice and then the Santa Cruz organic lemon juice. That's the reason they've been featured in all of my videos that require one of these ingredients. I always use these two these days. These are available throughout the United States. If you're watching this from abroad, they may not necessarily be available, but there's tons of other great options out there. Make sure you look for fruit juices, not just for these, but for grapefruit, pineapple, or orange that are going to be 100% juice, which means they're not made from concentrate. And organic is better as well. So if you look for those things, that's where you'll get the higher level of quality. And if you do that, in my opinion, that's when these become not necessarily as good or better than fresh fruit juice in terms of taste and quality, but about 90 to 95% of the way there. In my opinion, that's good enough as a home bartender. And the main reason for that is because as a home bartender, by definition, you're making drinks in your own home. So the people that you're making drinks for are either yourself or other people that you feel comfortable inviting into your own home. So that's going to be your partner, friends, family, coworkers, really people that already like you or love you, and people that you care about as well. And with that being said, you don't necessarily want to make a bad drink or an average drink because you care about these people, you love them, you want to make a quality drink for them, but you don't need to have that same above and beyond level of standard that restaurants and top-notch bars do, because professional bartenders are different because they're serving drinks to people that they don't know. They're serving drinks to strangers, and not only that, they're serving drinks to people that are paying money for those drinks and for that experience at the bar. And on top of that, they're also paying a lot of those customers are the majority of the customers are going to be paying a tip as well to the bartender specifically. So with that being said, a professional bartender has a different level of standard because they're trying to impress somebody that they don't know in order to get payment for the restaurant and then also an additional tip for themselves or payment for the bar. Whereas you as a home bartender, you're making drinks for people that you already know, people that already like you and are comfortable around you, that you're comfortable with. So you don't necessarily have to go to that, that same 100% quality. You can go to just 90 to 95%. And the reason that I don't recommend fresh fruits, even though they are better in terms of taste and quality, is because these two offer far more functionality and practicality than fresh fruits. The other thing, by being a home bartender, by definition, you're making drinks in your home, which means your bar is just going to be your kitchen. I'm filming this right now in my own kitchen on my island. And that's where I make all my drinks. If you're lucky enough to have a big house and you have a dedicated bar area, you have slightly more space and things like that. But when you're making drinks at home, you're really limited on a few things. So I store these in my fridge, and that fridge isn't a dedicated bar fridge. It's a fridge that also stores food for myself. And if you're watching this, I live by myself, but a lot of you watching this probably live with other people, roommates, partner, kids, parents, or some combination of these things. You're living with family, things like that. So you're going to be sharing your fridge space and also your pantry space, your shelf space with other people. And you can't just take all of it up with a bar and bar ingredients and equipment and things like that. So for example, this bottle of Nelly and Joe's Key West lime juice, when it's full, it contains 16 fluid ounces. So from my experience, the average lime contains anywhere between half an ounce to a full ounce of lime juice. So this single bottle of lime juice is equivalent to anywhere between 16 on the low end and up to 32 limes. So as you can imagine, limes are quite small, but when you have 16 or 32 of them, they take up quite a bit more space than this. You're gonna have to have multiple fruit bowls. And A lot of drinks that require lime juice require anywhere between half an ounce to a full ounce. So if you're making drinks for a party, oftentimes I'll go through a full bottle or a bottle and a half, something like that. And that's much easier to do with this than having, 30, 40 limes just sitting on my kitchen counter and having to run through all of them. So in terms of space, when you're limited to space, you're making drinks at home and you have limited space because you're sharing your fridge, your pantry with other people. So, you can't take all of it up. You can't just have two massive fruit bowls full of limes just taking up all of your space. It's different if that's why I say it's different if you're a professional bartender. Because when you're a professional bartender, that space is just for making drinks. So you can feel free to fill it up with however many limes you want because, you're going to have the customers, you're going to be using it all, and whatever you don't use, you can use the next day. So, that leads into the next topic. Is the reason these are also more functional and practical is because the added shelf stability. So when you buy these, before you open them, you can actually store them in your pantry for quite some time. And then even after you open them, you can store them for several months in your fridge. So, you buy one of these bottles and you have some friends over, you make some drinks. You maybe finish a quarter of the bottle, half the bottle, something like that. You can just store it in your fridge. You throw another party a month later, the lime juice is there for you. You'll use it at the next party or a few weeks later. Whereas if you bought, 20 limes for a party and you only used 12 of them, something like that, you still have 8 limes. What are you going to do with it? Your next party is not for another 2 weeks. The limes will go bad. You can't really save them until then. So you're going to have to just toss them. So this is also better in terms of the whole concept of food waste. So you're not going to be throwing out as much stuff, which means you're not wasting food or wasting ingredients, and then you're also not wasting the money that's required to buy those ingredients. And that's another difference between being a home bartender versus a professional bartender. When you're working at a bar, first of all, you're buying these ingredients in bulk, so you're saving money in that sense. And also, you're open every single day or sometimes 6 days a week, something like that. So every single night, you're going to be having new customers that come to your bar. So whatever ingredients you don't use today, you can use it the next day. They won't go bad the next day, but when you're a home bartender, you're not able to have parties and invite people over every single day because you all, like myself, have full-time jobs and other obligations, things like that. So you can't just make cocktails every single day. Your next party might not be for another month, couple weeks, something like that. So by that time, the fresh fruit will go bad, whereas these can sit in your fridge until the next party. So overall functionality, practicality, I think these are way, way better than fresh fruits, and just slightly a touch down in terms of taste and quality for your cocktails. So overall, when you weigh everything together, you weigh taste and quality, functionality, practicality. In my opinion, bottled lime juice, bottled lemon juice, and other bottled fruit juices are vastly superior in that sense. Now, there are a few exceptions. I didn't say I never use fresh fruits. I just said I almost never do. There are a few exceptions. One of them being sangria. For sangria, I do love to use fresh fruits, especially apples, oranges, limes, and I cut them up and put them into the pitcher with the wine and the other ingredients. And I think that's a great option for summer. I'll definitely make a video at some point, hopefully this summer, regarding how to make sangria at home. And there's also a few other cocktails. One that comes to mind right away is the caipirinha. It's this Brazilian drink that uses cachaça, limes, and sugar. And the traditional way to make that is actually to use fresh limes to cut up, not only to use the juice of the lime, but you're actually cutting up the limes and putting them into the drink. So that's one of the rare exceptions where I do use fresh limes. And again, I'll do a video on that at some point in the future showing you how to do that. But for the vast majority of other cases, for all the other videos I've made previously on this channel, I'm always using bottled fruit juices. So in my opinion, those are far better options. And let's just talk on one thing before we finish up this video. For me personally, this whole concept of needing to use fresh fruits was a huge barrier to entry. And when I was thinking about, I had thought about starting home bartending 2 or 3 different times over the course of years before I finally made the push and started it. And one of my barriers to entry was thinking that I needed to use fresh fruits. And I was like, I don't have all the space. I don't have the money to go out and buy those ingredients. I don't have the time to go to the grocery store every single week to buy fresh fruits, fresh limes, fresh oranges, fresh lemons, things like that. Every other bartending YouTuber that I watched was saying that you need to do that. You need to always have your pantry stock. Your fruit bowl on your counter always needs to be full with limes, lemons, and other fresh fruits. And for me, that just wasn't practical. So I just gave it a go, and this is something that I wish somebody had taught me when I was first starting off, but I just made the push and was like, I can't always have fresh fruits around. I'm just gonna try bottled lime juice and see if it works. And like I said, I've made thousands of cocktails. I've made cocktails for so many different people. Nobody's ever complained about, nobody's ever made a complaint like, oh, why are you using bottled lime juice instead of fresh limes? Nobody's ever said that to me at one of my gatherings or parties. In my opinion, that's when I started just using these ingredients and I saw that people liked the drinks and I didn't need to use fresh fruits. That's why I continued to do that. So if you're having that as one of the reasons why you find it hard to get into home bartending, just go make the push, buy these 2 bottles, start making drinks with them. And you'll realize that, people that you make drinks for, yourself and other people, they don't really mind that you're using bottled juice because it's just far more practical and functional. And it gets you almost all the way there in taste and quality. So don't let that be a barrier to entry like I did for myself. And that's really why I started this channel. I want to help you guys and teach you the things that I wish I knew when I was first starting this journey back in 2020, 5 years ago. This is definitely something that I wish somebody had taught me, because it would have gotten me to start this hobby even sooner than that. And it's been a very rewarding journey over the years. So I wish I had started it earlier, but they say the best time to plant a tree was 5 or 10 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. So, you can't change the past, but you can always change the present, and that'll in turn change the future. So if you find that as a barrier to entry, just please don't go buy these ingredients and start making cocktails on your own. If you found this video helpful and you want to learn more tips and tricks about home bartending, and you want to watch some tutorials on how to make specific cocktails, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Cheers.